Hi, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Risings. Welcome to your June 2022 horoscope. My name is Cailin, and today I'm going to be covering the major transits for the month ahead using tropical astrology and the whole sign system. I strongly recommend that you watch your horoscope for your ascendant sign first and foremost. So that would be you, Capricorn risings. Having said that, you can still watch this if you're a Capricorn sun or moon. The distinction would be that the rising, Capricorn rising people will find that this will pertain to you accurately, or overall, it will be the most accurate, and the sun sign horoscope will pertain more to your life goals and your career, whereas the moon sign horoscope will relate more to your relationships, your family life, your property and living circumstances, as well as your emotional health and well-being. So on the 3rd of June, Mercury will station direct in the sign of Taurus in your 5th house. So Mercury will have been retrograde in Taurus as well as Gemini, which means that once it's direct, for those of you who own your own business, you may have made some important changes to how you operate your business, the services that you offer, the products that you sell, and maybe you have restarted your business, especially if you had to push the pause button on that. On a different level, you may have gotten back with an ex during this period of time, or perhaps you just heard from them during the Mercury retrograde period. And on a different note, you could have had a really big creative breakthrough during the Mercury retrograde period. So, on a different level, the 5th house represents your children. So, for those of you who have been having a difficult time with your relationship with your child, you may have been able to iron out your differences if they're a bit older, or if they're younger, you may have made some changes to your parenting routines and what your approach is to raising your children. With Mercury having been retrograde in Gemini in your 6th house, you could have gotten back in touch with former colleagues or employees. You may have had to redo some work projects. You may have had to deal with some health matters, and perhaps you had a breakthrough with a health issue. Perhaps you were able to get to the bottom of the issue, or maybe you had a diagnosis which was changed or discovered. So maybe a doctor thought that you had one health issue and it turned out to be something different. Now, moving along to the 4th or the 5th of June, depending where you live in the world, when we will see Saturn stationing retrograde in Aquarius in your 2nd house. First of all, Saturn is your ruling planet. So, with that being said, you will notice more so than the other signs, except for Aquarius, which is also ruled by Saturn, that when Saturn stations direct and when it stations retrograde, this actually has an impact on you and on your life. Anyway, with Saturn being retrograde in your 2nd house, which is connected to your finances and your resources, you may be going on a bit of a journey with your money, your savings, and money management. So Saturn will be retrograde for 5 months until the 23rd of October. And with it being retrograde in your 2nd house, this will definitely affect you with your finances and your resources and your values. So it could be one of those things or all the above, but with respect to your finances and resources, you may be saving more money during this period of time. You may be spending less. You may be restricting what you are spending money on, or you could actually be trying really hard to save up for something. Essentially, Saturn is the planet of delays and restrictions and putting in repeated efforts into something. So when Saturn is retrograde, or when any planet is retrograde, we basically have to put in like 3 times more effort to achieve whatever result we're trying to achieve. So it may be that you have to be more strict with your budgeting, more strict with your spending. There may be some things that you have to spend money on, but you're still trying to save a certain amount. So it's sort of like, how much can you squeeze out of the value of $1? On a different level, This can see you buying less possessions and valuables. Maybe you're spending less money on clothes or on your wardrobe. And also, you could just have less access to your money or to your resources. I don't want to necessarily say that your pay is going to be reduced. It is a possibility, but I actually see this as more of a self-directed process with you changing your approach to your resources and to your finances. So it could be that you're earning the same amount, but you're just spending less of it. Now, Saturn represents our ability to master something. So this can see you being the master of your own time and of your own resources. Now, with the second house representing food, this can see you being more conscious of what you're eating, what you're ingesting. Maybe you are being quite careful not to go overboard. Maybe it's been quite difficult for you to stick to a diet, and now you're being a lot more regimented with this or a lot stricter with this. You could just be eating smaller portions or eating less times per day. Something I would say is to be very conscious of not overdoing it with being, rigid in this department, because, Saturn being retrograde in the second house can, worst case scenario, lead to, I suppose, developing an eating disorder or an existing eating disorder flaring up. On a different note, this can see you working really hard to maybe overcome disordered eating or an eating disorder. Now, because the second house represents your values, this can see you becoming a lot more clear and defined on what your values are. What things will you not compromise on? Where will you not cut corners? What is it that you are wanting to achieve with diet, with your spending habits? And maybe this is a case of you changing your values when it comes to valuables, possessions, anything which is of a superficial nature. Maybe you're placing less importance on these things. Or on a different note, the second house represents your taste. So your literal taste buds can change, what you like to eat, what perfume you like, how you like to dress, what furniture you like, what decor you like. And, for some of you, this could, and art as well. So for some of you, this could be niching down. Maybe you're becoming more minimalist. So that's just a number of different ways that Saturn retrograde can play out. Now, on the 11th/12th of June, depending where you live in the world, Venus and Uranus will form a conjunction at 16 degrees in the sign of Taurus, and this will be in your fifth house. Now, this conjunction occurs about once a year, and it also will make an opposition to the moon in Scorpio in your 11th house. So the fifth house rules over romance, sex, dating, owning your own business if you own one, children, hobbies, and passions, and also speculative investments. And it can also be gambling as well, and vacations and recreational activities and whatnot. So conjunctions that involve Uranus can go one of two ways. First of all, conjunctions indicate the start of something new. So this energy is a little bit paradoxical. You may be starting something new. You may, date someone new. You may start your own business. But then, the paradox is that Uranus can represent a sudden separation or divorce from a person, place, or thing. So I'll go through a few different ways that this can work out for you. But first, let's talk about romance, sex, and dating. So this could be like a love at first sight instance that occurs. And I'm saying this because Uranus literally rules over lightning. Venus is a planet of love and relationships. And like I said, this conjunction is making an opposition to the moon, and the moon rules over your seventh house of one-on-one relationships. So this could see you meeting someone, and maybe it's really unexpected. Maybe you weren't looking for love. Maybe, is it just me, or is my candle doing something crazy right now? I don't know. I feel like this is maybe confirmation of what I'm saying. Anyway, so this can see you meeting someone and you just, really hit it off with them. It's 111 right now as I'm talking. So, if you're single and you're looking for love, pay attention to around the 11th or the 12th of June, because you absolutely could meet someone. And I really feel like this would be, sparks flying and instant connection, really hitting it off. Maybe you weren't expecting it. Maybe, you weren't even meant to be where you are. Like maybe you get invited to a party because your other plans got cancelled, and you end up going, and it's like a sliding doors kind of moment. On a different level, this could just be a casual sexual encounter. And, for those of you who are semi seeing someone or dating, it could be that you or the other person, although I think it would be the latter, unexpectedly like reveals their feelings. And this could be quite premature. This could be really early in the piece. This could be quite surprising. Maybe you went on a date or two with someone and you didn't hear from them, they didn't call you or get back to you, and you're like, oh, I thought they were really cute, but obviously they're not interested. And then all of a sudden you're hearing from them and they're like, no, I'm really keen. On a different note, I shouldn't laugh, but this could be like an accident during sex. This can be, things happening prematurely, or like a literal accident. So, like, be careful. On a different note, this can represent ending a relationship with a partner. So this could be an unexpected separation with your significant other. Because the fifth house is more like dating energy, I would say this is more connected to something which is more casual or in the shorter term, or it's still sort of early days. Or this could be like an unexpected outburst from them. And the reason I'm saying it would be them is because Venus is the ruler of your fifth house, and this conjunction is taking place in your fifth house, and it's opposite the moon, which is the ruler of your seventh house. So it really indicates that you're hearing from them. Maybe they're too early. Maybe they are the ones having the outburst. Maybe they're the ones saying, I want to pump the brakes on this relationship. And certainly they could be the one to initiate dating. Again, it's a general reading, so it just depends how this will play out for you. Now, still talking about this conjunction, but looking at the business side of things, you can have a sudden download of information for a new business. So maybe you have the concept, but you don't know the name of the business. And then it just comes to you and you're like, I'm going to trademark this, or I'm going to buy the .com or whatever it is. Maybe you just discover the concept for the business. Maybe, you're just like not even thinking about the subject. And then it's kind of like the fully formed idea is just plonked into your head. Now, for those of you who own your own business already, you could have an exciting breakthrough when it comes to developing a new product, selling a new product, listing a new service, making changes to your existing services and the products that you sell. And for some of you, you could just have an idea for a new invention of something. And I'm inclined to say that this will involve working with another person or collaborating with another person, just because of the opposition to the moon and the involvement of, the moon ruling over your seventh house. On a different note, this could be a new collaboration opportunity, a new investment opportunity. Maybe someone wants to be like an investor of your business. Maybe they want to back you or be a benefactor somehow. And on a different note, this could see you deciding that you want to cancel your business. Maybe you want to quit, walk away, close it down, take a break. Maybe you get an offer to sell it. And on one hand, it could be that, all of a sudden you want to sell your business, or maybe you're not looking to sell, but someone comes up with an offer which is too good to be true. And you're like, what the hell, let's do it. Now, because the fifth house represents children, I just want to touch on this as well. You could have an argument or a disagreement with your child, and I would see this as them having some kind of outburst, or perhaps they're sort of acting out of character, or they do something which is very surprising to you. On a different note, surprise pregnancy is on the cards. So if that's not what you want, you might want to do something about it. And lastly, with this conjunction, this can see you discovering a new hobby or passion, or a new creative ability or talent. And maybe this is like really unexpected, and you're like, hey, turns out I'm awesome at painting or playing a musical instrument, or maybe even playing a new sport. Moving along though, on the 15th or the 16th of June, depending where you live in the world, Mars is going to form a conjunction with Aries at 15 degrees in your fourth house. So this is a little difficult to handle because it is a very emotional conjunction that all of us are going to experience. So before I continue, I just want to say that I see this conjunction as being an opportunity to heal, to grow, to understand triggers and things that have been painful for you at a deeper level. You can hear that siren going outside. Again, I feel like this is confirmation. Essentially, Mars is the planet of aggression, arguments, how we take action, our willpower, and our independence as well. Whereas Chiron was initially it was classed as an asteroid, but now it's considered to be a centaur. You can Google that. And I don't mean the mythical centaur, I mean an actual, planetary centaur. But speaking of centaurs, in Greek mythology, Chiron was based on the centaur in Greek mythology, who was a very gifted healer. Chiron was a spiritual teacher, and he was able to heal everyone who came to him. The only person he was unable to heal was himself, and that led to him, living in pain and suffering because he suffered a fatal wound by a poison arrow, and because he was not a full mortal, he was unable to die. Greek mythology aside, the connection to astrology is that Chiron represents like a core wound that we have, which is spiritual, emotional, something that needs healing, something that we don't want to talk about. So wherever you have Chiron in your natal chart, this can represent where you have either suffered some sort of tragedy or wounding, and this can also represent the ways in which you either inadvertently or consciously wound other people. So the conjunction between Mars and Chiron in Aries at 15 degrees in your fourth house will play out on one or more of the following levels. Your emotional foundation. Are you happy? If you're not happy, why not? What's the real reason underpinning this feeling? This can also pertain to your parents, family life, and the way in which you were raised. Now, the fourth house is also connected to your ancestry and your lineage, as well as your property and living circumstances. So I'm going to go through a few different ways that this can play out for you. But essentially, let's talk about your emotional foundation. This conjunction will make you acutely aware of whether or not you are truly happy. Are you experiencing depression, anxiety? Are you unsatisfied with a certain area of your life? And maybe this has been eluding you. Maybe you have been unable to really, put your finger on why you don't feel as happy as you could, or as happy as you feel that you should be. So this is going to see you working to understand what you can do to make it better, or um, at the very least understand like the origin or the root of this feeling for you. And you can absolutely identify what the trigger is of this deep-seated emotional pain. Some of you may be experiencing seasonal depression, or maybe you feel really down or really depressed at certain times of the year, or at certain times of the month or the week or even the day. And this can see you actually understanding why that is. And once you are consciously aware of it, you can work on healing yourself in this way. Now, with the fourth house representing parents, family, and the ways in which you were raised, this will present a chance for you to either heal your relationship with someone in your family, and I dare say that this would be your parents, maybe your mother or the mother figure in your life, even if you are not healing this relationship, if you're not forgiving them, if you're not speaking to them, maybe they've passed on. This can see you actually understanding how the nature of that relationship has negatively impacted you. And maybe this is, maybe you're somehow recreating this in the ways in which you are raising your family, or the ways in which, um, you're maybe feeling discontent in every home or house or apartment that you live in, and you're constantly wanting to go from place to place to place, and maybe there's a connection between the two things, because the fourth house represents the ways in which we were raised, whether or not we had foster parents, adoptive parents. Maybe you grew up in an orphanage, maybe you were sent to boarding school at a young age. This can see you actually being able to find the words to articulate your experience, and this can lead you on your path to healing from whatever damage that has done to you on a personal level and on a deep-seated emotional level. You certainly could be having some groundbreaking conversations with parents or family members, or even the people that you live with. And this would be indicated by the fact that this conjunction is taking place at 15 degrees, and 15 degrees is the Gemini degree. So this really is indicating you either having a conversation with someone where there's like a fractured relationship with them, or perhaps communicating to someone else and articulating these experiences to someone else in your life. So on a just moving on from this, looking at your ancestry and your lineage, this can see you, and this is a trigger warning, discovering something violent that occurred in the lives of one of your ancestors. Look, it could even be one of your parents, and maybe this event, or this abuse that occurred has permeated your childhood experience or your psyche in some way. And now that you actually know what happened, you can start working on the ways in which this might have subconsciously impacted you, especially if it was a parent and they never discussed this with you. This can lead you to understanding them a bit better, or understanding, their parenting style a bit better, and perhaps even their shortcomings. So lastly, on this note, I know it's a very heavy topic. With your property and living circumstances, this can see you understanding where you really want to live, and decisions to relocate from place to place based on you feeling like the grass is greener. Is it based on your family's expectations, or is it based on you trying to prove something to your family? Maybe you're trying to avoid them. Maybe you're trying to move as far away as possible. Or because Chiron represents the ways in which we can consciously or inadvertently hurt other people, there may be something that you are doing which is hurting your family or hurting the people that you live with. And there could be a conversation which crops up about this very topic. Or perhaps you're just understanding that the choices that you've made about your property and living circumstances could be connected to your desire to get back at a family member, or hurt them in some way, shape, or form. And lastly, this could see you realizing whether or not you are denying yourself something which is connected to your home life and property. Maybe this is you somehow like punishing yourself, and therefore you're not renting the kind of home that you want, or living where you want, or buying the kind of dream home that you want. So it's a little bit, what's the term? Masochist in a way, like sort of punishing yourself. But now to move on to something really positive, we're going to have Venus entering the sign of Gemini in your sixth house on the 22nd or the 23rd of June, depending where you live in the world. Just as an example, 23rd of June would be for my fellow Aussies, and 22nd of June would be for the US. I don't know about the other time zones. You can go work it out. in any case, wherever Venus goes, this is where we can experience some kind of blessing in our life, or things going more easier. Things are just easier, okay? So with Venus in your sixth house, this can see you enjoying work more. This can see you actually solving some kind of conflict or dispute that you have with another person. And I'm saying this because Venus rules over relationships, and it rules over harmony and peace and negotiation and balance. And the sixth house represents conflicts and disputes. So, and any situation which is out of balance. So, with Venus here, this can see you arriving at a compromise with another person, sorting out your differences within a relationship. This can see you hiring new employees, because the sixth house represents employees, and Venus rules over your 10th house, which represents your career, and it also rules over your 5th house, which represents owning your own business. So you may hire new employees, or perhaps you're just getting along with the people that you have employed. This can see you starting a new creative project, which is connected to work, but that you just really love. Maybe you're able to really, exercise your creative talents in this project or in this role. It could be that you have a new work duty or responsibility, which is very creative. And, maybe you like the project, it's easy for you, it comes to you easily, or you could be receiving help with a project or with a work responsibility, which is very difficult. Now, the sixth house is connected to like errands, mundane, annoying, tedious stuff. So with Venus here, it could be that another person is helping you carry out these tasks. Maybe they're doing it for you. Maybe they're making your life easier, or maybe they're just not as like annoying. Maybe you're taking some pleasure out of striking things off your to-do list. I know you're an earth sign, so you get a kick out of that anyway, but just saying. On a different note, this can see you having some success with your health and with your daily habits and routines. It can be easier for you to stick to a new habit or routine. Maybe you're experiencing better health and more vitality during this 3 or 4 week period of time. Just to give you the bookend dates, once again, it's between the 22nd/23rd of June and the 17th/18th of July. So now, on the 28th of June, Neptune will station retrograde in the sign of Pisces at 25 degrees in your 3rd house. So Neptune will be retrograde from the 28th of June until the 4th of December in 2022. So like Saturn, it spends 5 months being retrograde every year. Now, because this is retrograde in your 3rd house, I see the focus of this being on your friends, your siblings, relatives, maybe co-worker relationships with your co-workers, and also, communications pieces that maybe you're working on. So Neptune as a planet represents charity, donations, doing things selflessly and altruistically. And, worst case scenario, Neptune can represent confusion, illusions, being exploited, martyrdom, victimhood, and, people just like taking us for a ride, really. So with Neptune being retrograde, if there are friends, siblings, relatives, as in like cousins, aunts, or uncles, or, co-workers, or even clients who are exploiting you, taking advantage of you, or just like, using you in some way, this can see you being consciously aware of this and cutting that shit out. So essentially, they may be doing it consciously, they may be doing it unconsciously, maybe they just don't realize that they're being a burden on you. Essentially, with Neptune being retrograde here and at 25 degrees, which is the Aries degree, this can see you saying, no more, I can't help with this, or, if you want to utilize these services of mine, you can book, like, here's where you can pay me, or here's what you can do to, compensate me for the work that I've done. So it's about you sort of not being taken advantage of. On a different level, though, Neptune being retrograde can show where we have some resistance to showing unconditional love and support to the other person. So we can really be holding this back. And again, this is a general reading, so you just want to see how this situation applies to you. But you may start um, you may start working on having more compassion if you feel like it's been hard for you to have compassion for these individuals in your life. And on a different note, though, it could be that you're just working harder to either enforce your emotional boundaries or to be a bit more lax with them. Because you're a Capricorn, sun, moon, or rising, I assume for a lot of you, it could be the latter, where it's like you don't want to be a burden on these people. You don't want to ask for help. You don't want to, bring your walls down. So it could sort of work in the reverse in that way. Lastly, with this transit, before we move on, it could be that you are finally understanding some kind of communications piece that you've been working on at a more intuitive level or at a spiritual level. Maybe you were unsure as to why you were motivated to create some sort of communications piece. Maybe you have felt unclear and foggy when you've been trying to work on it, whether this is doing a YouTube series or working on some content or educational course material. This can see you actually getting it, if there's been some difficulties in that department. Now, lastly, for the month, on the 29th of June, Venus in Gemini in your sixth house will make a sextile to Jupiter in Aries in your seventh house. I wanted to end all the horoscopes on a high with this particular transit, and essentially, both Venus and Jupiter are considered to be benefic planets in astrology, meaning that they bring blessings, abundance, they are connected to money and wealth in some way, shape, or form. Venus is the lesser benefic, Jupiter is the greater benefic, and because Jupiter is in your fourth house, which represents your property and your living circumstances and just like your home life in general. And then we've got the sixth house representing things which are out of balance, or, maybe there's some deficit, or like maybe you've taken out a loan. In some way, shape, or form, I see this as a very prosperous opportunity for you, which somehow improves your living standards or circumstances. Now, sextiles carry the energy of Venus, and you really have to be consciously participating in this exchange. So it represents someone trying to help you. Maybe they're trying to give you a leg up. Maybe they're trying to give you money, resources, advice, connect you to the right person, make an introduction, provide an opportunity for you somehow. And this is about you accepting the offer in a very um, definitive way. So it's like saying yes, thank you to this opportunity, returning their call, saying I'll take you up on it. The offer is there from this other person, or whatever it is, but you're the one who has to actually go in and grab it with both hands. So it could be that there's an opportunity for you to buy a property, invest in your property, expand your existing property, make it bigger, make it better somehow. You may be able to pay off your loan. There may be a large chunk of payment that you're able to pay off. Now, this could come through as someone offering to help you and show you that generosity, whether this is like someone that you're dating, maybe your child's going to help you, as in your children. It could be that your work is offering to move some things around and make things easier for you. Maybe this gives you a better tax break. On a different note, you could just receive financial assistance with the relocation process. Your work could be paying you to relocate. You could be moving to a foreign country. This could be indefinitely, or this could be just like a temporary opportunity. This could be for health reasons. This could be for a health retreat with Jupiter ruling over your 12th house. And this could see you changing up your daily habits and routines in relation to what you're doing in your home, your daily rhythmic routines and habits. And this is somehow leading you to more emotional stability and happiness. This could indicate a blessing on your home. Maybe someone is going to come in and do some sort of feng shui. Maybe it's for free. Maybe it's at a reduced rate. Maybe like a priest is going to come in and bless your home, or someone who is, a spiritual person will come in and cleanse it for you. You could be gifted an artwork or something creative that a person has produced, and somehow this could bring more peace and serenity into your home and restore the balance in some way. You could actually be adopting a pet, and this could, in turn, be something which is very positive for you on an emotional level. And someone could literally just like be making food for you, and it could really help you out. Maybe they're, you know giving you herbs to plant in your garden. Maybe they're giving you some, already existing herb plants. And somehow this is like a blessing for your home. It doesn't need to be a huge deal, but, I did want to make you aware of it because this looks like a really positive thing to me. And so, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Risings, thank you so much for tuning into this horoscope. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to book a private one-on-one reading with me, you can do so via the link in the description box below. Enjoy your month ahead, Capricorn, and I will see you guys in July.